Many of you may not know, but my father was a pastor of a church for 33 years. And in his younger days, he was known to have had a short fuse, which is a euphemism for a quick temper. I'm deeply grateful to say that he overcame his temper due to an unforgettable experience. It happened one day when I was riding with him in the car, and as we approached an intersection, a man in another car ran a red light. My dad instinctively pressed the brake pedal, avoiding a serious collision literally by inches. My dad blew up. His face grew red and the veins in his neck were bulging, and he ravaged the other driver with words that I'd never heard him use before. The next Sunday at church, one of our church members told Dad that he happened to be standing on the sidewalk at that intersection and had witnessed the entire scene. Embarrassed but attempting to defend himself, my dad said, "Well, sure, I blew up, but it only lasted for a few minutes." To which the church member said, "A tornado only lasts for a few minutes, but leaves behind devastation that takes years to repair." Wow, those words pierced my dad's conscience, and I never again saw him lose his temper either in public or in private. In 1993, Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau starred in a movie about two aging men, and the title of the movie was Grumpy Old Men.
Why don't you do the world a favor and pull your lip over your head and swallow?
Idiot.
When I was younger, I assumed that's exactly what old men became. They turn into angry curmudgeons who chase kids out of their yard. Now that I've grown old, I find myself seldom getting angry. And part of the reason is that I certainly don't want to be known as a grumpy old man. But another reason is that aging has taught me that, many issues simply aren't worth the energy and time required to express anger. But the more serious and more important reason is my desire to follow the biblical mandate expressed by Paul, written in Ephesians chapter 4, verse 31. Get rid of all bitterness, rage, and anger. Now, does this mean we should never show anger? The passage seems to suggest that. Again, listen to how it reads. Get rid of all anger. However, 5 verses earlier, in verse 26, Paul writes these words, "In your anger," certainly implying that we may get angry at times, he further writes, "do not sin. Do not let the sun go down while you're still angry." Now, from that passage, there are 2 key points regarding anger. The first point is, in your anger, do not sin. What Paul is suggesting is that there is a difference between sinful anger and what we would call righteous indignation. Now, Jesus demonstrated the difference of those two. All 4 of the Gospels tell about a time that Jesus entered the temple, saw how the temple was being desecrated, and angrily and physically drove the culprits out. He became angry but did not sin because his anger was righteous anger. Righteous anger is directed towards evil. For example, in our day, it is right to express anger towards the injustice of human trafficking, or the genocide of populations, or the debasing of human life by snuffing out the life of a baby that has already passed through the birth canal. Anytime evil emerges, the Christian should become righteously indignant. Sinful anger, on the other hand, is pride-based. It is an anger born out of personal injury or offense. The anger Jesus displayed was directed towards corrupt practices that were being tacitly approved by the religious leaders. Now, in contrast, when Jesus was personally attacked, unjustly accused, physically abused, he looked at those responsible and said, Father, forgive them. The second point Paul makes is, do not let the sun go down while you're still angry. So that means sinful anger must be immediately resolved, not allowed to seethe and linger. Unresolved anger is destructive and can lead to the development of not only long-term emotional but long-term spiritual pathologies. And so what I've learned through the years is that the day I become angry and sin should be the same day that I seek reconciliation and forgiveness. I wonder, is there some unresolved and unrighteous anger that you're dealing with? Would it be possible to resolve it before you lay your head on your pillow tonight? That's something to consider.